In this world, appearances rule far more than truth. A man may be virtuous, intelligent, even destined for greatness, but if he looks poor, the world will treat him with contempt. Today, we solve this problem: how to guard your image and command respect, even when your pockets are empty. I am Niccolò Machiavelli, or rather, his mirror for modern men. From courts of princes to the streets of common men, I have observed one unshakable law: respect follows wealth, or at least the appearance of it. In this lesson, I will reveal why you must never look poor, even if you are, and how this single discipline can determine your power, survival, and influence. Perception is power. Understand this well, for it is the foundation of all influence. Men do not look into your soul, nor do they weigh the depth of your intentions. They are not interested in the sleepless nights you endure, the sacrifices you make, or the nobility you may secretly hold within. Men, by their very nature, are impatient judges. They look with their eyes, and their eyes deceive them. They take the shadow for substance, the mask for the man, the appearance for the truth. Ask yourself, when you first see another man, what do you know of him? Nothing, except what he shows you. His clothes, his walk, the way he carries his head, the tone of his voice. These things alone form your first judgment. Before he has spoken of his wisdom or demonstrated his talents, you have already placed him into a boxy strong or weak, worthy or unworthy, someone to respect or someone to ignore. And so it is with you. The world treats you not as you truly are, but as you appear. A poor man who carries himself like a beggar will receive the scorn of the street. He may have the sharpest mind, the most disciplined spirit, the noblest of characters, but none of this matters if his appearance tells the opposite story. For men are lazy in judgment. They will not dig to discover your hidden worth. They will not search beyond the surface. They assume what they see is all there is. And if they see poverty, they assume weakness. If they see weakness, they assume failure. And if they assume failure, they will treat you as a man already defeated. This is why rulers and princes cloak themselves in grandeur, why generals appear adorned in finery before battle, why merchants spend coin on the farce aid of wealth. They know the truth that eludes ordinary men. It is not the reality of power that matters most, but the performance of it. For the performance commands loyalty, respect, even fear, while the reality is hidden and distant. Consider the man who wears plain rags and shuffles through life with downcast eyes. His speech is timid, his presence small. Others will speak over him, dismiss him, take his silence as stupidity. But dress this same man in fine garments. Teach him to walk with upright spine, to meet eyes directly, to speak with calm assurance, and suddenly the world tilts in his favor. Strangers listen when he speaks. Merchants offer him better terms. Women regard him with curiosity instead of pity. Nothing inside him has changed. His mind, his soul, his ambitions remain the same. Only his appearance has shifted. Yet through this alone, he becomes a different man in the eyes of others. And what does this tell you? That men live not in reality, but in perception. They are enchanted by surfaces. The prince who displays strength, even if crumbling within, will be obeyed more than the prince who displays weakness, even if strong within. The merchant who appears prosperous will be trusted with investment, while the merchant who looks poor will be denied, even if his judgment is sound. The soldier who marches with proud confidence inspires courage in others, while the soldier who looks broken spreads fear, no matter how brave he may secretly be. This is why you must never allow yourself to appear poor, even if you are. For poverty in the eyes of others is not simply a lack of money. It is interpreted as a lack of power, a lack of worth, a lack of destiny. To look poor is to signal to the world that you can be disregarded, ignored, or preyed upon. To look strong, to look stable, to look prosperous, even when you are none of these things, is to protect yourself from judgment and to command respect that would otherwise be denied to you. Remember, men do not respect truth. They respect the appearance of truth. They do not respect strength. They respect the image of strength. They do not respect wealth. They respect the appearance of wealth. The surface always outweighs the substance, because the surface is what the majority of men see, and most men cannot look any deeper. This is not a tragedy, it is the natural order of human affairs, and the wise man accepts it as such. Perception, therefore, is the coin of the realm. It is more valuable than gold, more useful than virtue, more enduring than truth. If you master how you are perceived, you master how you are treated. And when you master how you are treated, you master power itself. Poverty invites predators. This is one of the harshest truths of life, and yet most men refuse to accept it. They prefer to believe that the world is compassionate, that others will treat them with fairness, or that virtue alone will protect them. But in the theater of human affairs, weakness is never ignored. It is exploited. And nothing advertises weakness more loudly than the appearance of poverty. Look at nature, and you will see this law written everywhere. When the lion stalks the herd, does he pursue the strongest and healthiest animal? No, he locks his eyes on the frail, the limping, the one who lags behind. The predator wastes no energy where resistance will be strong. He goes for the weak because weakness guarantees success. And men, though they dress themselves in civilization, are no different. They are wolves wearing cloaks of courtesy. They look for advantage, for easy prey, for opportunities to assert their own power at the lowest cost. Show them poverty, and you mark yourself as that easy prey. Consider the merchant who struggles to make ends meet. If he appears desperate, buyers will squeeze him for every coin. They will delay payments, demand discounts, and press him into deals that benefit them at his expense. His desperation becomes a scent in the air, and like vultures, others circle above him. Now consider another merchant, equally poor, but who carries himself with discipline, with pride, who never reveals his hardship. Buyers approach him with more caution, even respect, because they cannot detect weakness. The difference lies not in their actual wealth, but in the way their poverty is displayed. One man invites predators, the other deters them. The same law governs relationships between men. The employee who appears financially desperate will be worked harder for less pay, because his employer knows he has no strength to resist. The friend who reveals his poverty will be treated as a burden, pitied to his face, and mocked behind his back. Even in matters of love, the man who shows himself poor will be seen as less desirable, not because money alone defines attraction, but because poverty suggests vulnerability, dependency, and inability to protect or provide. Where weakness appears, respect disappears. This is why the wise man conceals his poverty. He does not parade his struggles before others. He understands that to confess weakness openly is to hand weapons to those who would use them against him. He knows that men, whether they wear crowns or rags, calculate advantage at every turn. And if you give them reason to believe you can be taken advantage of, they will take advantage of you. Not because they are evil, but because it is their nature. Just as the wolf does not apologize for hunting the deer, men do not apologize for exploiting the weak. You must see how the world truly functions. Charity is rare, and when it appears, it is often poisoned by hidden motives. A man who appears weak may attract sympathy, yes, but that sympathy is fleeting and often self-serving. People will offer him scraps, but they will never offer him power. They may feed him for a day, but they will never entrust him with influence, because they assume he cannot handle it. And in truth, the world respects not those who beg for mercy, but those who command fear or admiration. Therefore, to appear poor is to invite 1,000 small cruelties. You will find yourself cheated in business, overlooked in opportunity, betrayed in friendship, and taken for granted in love. It is not fair, but fairness is not the law of this world. Survival is, and survival belongs not to the one who exposes weakness, but to the one who conceals it behind a mask of strength. Understand, when you display poverty, you tell the world that you lack resources, influence, and protection. You tell them that if they push against you, you will not push back. You signal that you can be manipulated without fear of retaliation. And once you have sent that signal, the predators will come as surely as night follows day. Respect is bought with illusion. It is not given to the virtuous man simply because he is good, nor to the intelligent man simply because he is wise, nor to the poor man simply because he is honest. Respect, like gold, must be mined, shaped, and presented. And in this world, the most precious coin is not truth, but illusion. The majority of men are blind to reality. They live by impressions, by appearances, by what glitters before their eyes. They do not ask what lies behind the curtain. They are satisfied with the stage performance. A man may be drowning in debt, but if he dresses well, speaks with confidence, and maintains composure, he is treated as though he were wealthy. Another man may have riches hidden in vaults, but if he carries himself poorly, looks defeated, and reveals insecurity, he will be treated with disdain. It is not wealth itself that earns respect. It is the illusion of it. You must understand this: people will always judge you by what they can see, not by what they cannot. They cannot see your struggles, your sacrifices, your quiet victories in the darkness. They see only your mask. If your mask suggests power, they will assume you possess it. If your mask suggests weakness, they will believe it with no further question. Respect is bought not by the truth of your condition, but by the show you put before their eyes. This is why rulers stage grandeur in their courts. The throne, the crown, the ceremonies, all illusions, carefully crafted to signal power and stability. A prince may be racked with doubt, his kingdom fragile, his treasury nearly empty. But if he maintains the image of strength, his people remain obedient, his enemies cautious, his allies loyal. The illusion of wealth and power preserves him far better than admitting the fragile truth ever could. Now look to the common man. When he enters a room with shoulders back, eyes steady, and voice firm, others take him seriously, even before he has spoken a word of substance. If he arrives clean, well kept, with even modest clothing presented with dignity, people assume order in his life. They assume competence. And from this assumption, they offer respect. But the man who enters with sloppy appearance, with nervous speech, with the stench of desperation upon him, this man loses before he has even begun. Others speak over him, dismiss his presence, take no account of his words. He may speak wisdom, but it will fall on deaf ears, because he has already betrayed his weakness with his appearance. Do not confuse this with deception alone. Illusion is not merely lying. It is crafting the version of yourself that commands the treatment you desire. The world is not obligated to discover your hidden value. You must present it in the language men understand: signs, symbols, appearances. If you wish to be respected, you must dress respectably, speak respectably, move respectably, even if your inner world is still in turmoil. Men cannot read turmoil. They can only read what you show them. Understand also that respect is rarely granted to those who beg for it. A poor man who pleads for recognition, who explains his suffering, who demands fairness, gains only pity, and pity is the most useless of currencies. Pity lowers a man, never raises him. But when you cloak yourself in illusion, when you conceal your struggles and reveal only strength, you buy respect without asking for it. It is given freely because people assume you deserve it. Every prince, every leader, every successful man has mastered this art. They know the crowd does not seek the truth. The crowd seeks something to believe in. They seek the vision of strength, the performance of prosperity, the illusion of certainty. If you provide this, they will respect you. If you fail to provide it, they will discard you, no matter how worthy you are in reality. Respect, then, is not earned by virtue alone. It is bought with the coin of illusion. It is purchased every day by the way you present yourself, by the mask you wear, by the image you project to the world. Wealth is contagious, and so is poverty. Men are like mirrors, they reflect back what they see, and they are drawn to what shines brightest. If you appear successful, even when your success is thin as glass, others will attach themselves to you, eager to share in your ascent. But if you appear poor, if you display defeat, the same men who once shook your hand will begin to drift away, as though your condition could infect them. Look at the behavior of crowds. They follow the man who seems to be rising. They whisper his name. They admire his steps. They speak of him as though his destiny is assured. They want to be close to him, for they believe proximity to greatness will lift them higher. But when a man falters, when he stumbles and reveals weakness, the crowd disperses. The same mouths that once praised him now scorn him. The same friends who once dined with him now dine with another. It is not loyalty that rules men's hearts. It is calculation. They seek the warmth of success and avoid the chill of failure. This is why poverty, or even the appearance of it, must be concealed. For when men suspect that you are sinking, they treat you as though you have already drowned. They distance themselves, fearing that your decline will drag them with you. Opportunities vanish. Invitations disappear. Even those who once relied on you will begin to rely on others, as if you had suddenly lost the ability to provide value. Poverty spreads not because it is real, but because men fear its touch. On the other hand, wealth, even the illusion of it, creates an aura that draws men in. A merchant who seems prosperous, who appears always in control, will attract partners eager to share his ventures. Investors will seek him out, believing that his fortune is destined to grow further. He may in truth be weighed down by debt, but if he hides it well, the world will lend him more power, more resources, more belief, until illusion becomes reality. His apparent wealth breeds more wealth, because men trust what they see and wish to join in it. The same principle extends beyond money. A man who carries himself with the aura of success, even in small matters, finds doors opening for him. Women notice his confidence and assume he is valuable. Employers see his composure and assume he is capable. Strangers treat him with courtesy, sensing that his time is not to be wasted. The appearance of rising makes others believe you are worthy of their energy, their attention, their respect. But the appearance of falling makes them recoil, as if your decline were a disease that could consume them as well. This is why the wise man never parades his failures, never speaks publicly of his struggles, never exposes the depth of his poverty. To do so is to poison his own reputation. He knows that sympathy will not save him, because sympathy is shallow and brief. Men may offer him a kind word, but behind it is relief that his misfortune is not theirs. They will not carry his burdens. They will only step aside as he collapses under them. The truth is that men are opportunists, whether they admit it or not. They gravitate towards success because they wish to share in its fruits. They abandon failure because they fear being starved beside it. And so the art of survival lies not only in how you fight your battles, but in how you present yourself while fighting them. You may be struggling, but you must appear stable. You may be sinking, but you must appear afloat. For as long as others believe you are secure, they will treat you as though you are. And their treatment, in turn, often makes the illusion come alive. Wealth spreads because men believe in it. Poverty spreads because men fear it. And in a world where belief is more powerful than truth, you must guard against the contagion of appearing poor, even as you strive to catch the contagion of appearing rich. The mask protects the man. This is one of the oldest and most reliable truths of power. Men believe they know you by what you show them, but in truth they know only the mask you wear. Behind it, you may suffer, you may struggle, you may doubt, but the world will not see it, and therefore the world cannot use it against you. Without the mask, you are vulnerable to pity, to mockery, to exploitation. With the mask, you are untouchable, for you control what others perceive. Weak men believe that honesty requires them to show their wounds, to confess their hardships, to display their poverty, as if it were a badge of virtue. They imagine that others will admire their openness, reward their sincerity, or protect them out of compassion. But this is folly. When you expose your weaknesses, you do not gain admiration, you invite exploitation. Men are rarely merciful when given advantage, they are opportunistic. Show them your hunger, and they will feed you scraps. Show them your desperation, and they will chain you with debts. Show them your pain, and they will see a chance to elevate themselves above you. The world may applaud honesty in theory, but in practice it rewards only strength. The mask, therefore, is not deception, it is survival. It is the shield that guards you against the daggers of human judgment. Consider the soldier. He may be terrified before battle, his heart pounding, his body trembling. But if he reveals this fear, it spreads like wildfire through his ranks. His fellow soldiers lose courage, his enemies gain confidence, and the battle is lost before it begins. So what does the soldier do? He wears the mask of courage. He raises his head, steadies his gaze, marches forward as if he fears nothing. His mask inspires his comrades, unsettles his enemies, and often in time strengthens his own heart. By pretending to be brave, he becomes brave. The same law applies to every aspect of life. In business, the mask of success creates confidence among partners and clients. In relationships, the mask of composure inspires attraction and respect. In society, the mask of dignity shields you from humiliation. Without such masks, you are exposed to every shifting wind of judgment. With them, you stand firm because others see only what you allow them to see. Even princes and rulers, who hold great power, depend on masks. The mask of justice, even when they act unjustly. The mask of generosity, even when they tax heavily. The mask of stability, even when their kingdoms tremble. These masks are not lies. They are instruments of governance. They preserve order, command respect, and prevent chaos. Without masks, even rulers would collapse under the weight of truth. And if princes cannot afford such nakedness, why should you? There will always be those who argue that masks are false, that one should be authentic, that to hide struggle is cowardice. But consider carefully, when a man reveals his true hardship, what reward does he gain? A fleeting moment of sympathy, perhaps, but no power, no advancement, no protection. The authenticity he clings to becomes the very chain that binds him. Meanwhile, the man who wears the mask of strength gains allies, influence, and respect, even if behind the mask he fights his own battles. The difference is survival. The mask does not betray your true self. It protects it. It allows you to preserve your dignity in times of suffering, to project strength in times of weakness, to inspire confidence when you yourself may doubt. It is not cowardice to wear a mask, it is strategy. And strategy is what separates the respected from the disregarded, the leader from the victim, the predator from the prey. Therefore, the man who understands power never appears in public without his mask. He may be poor, but he presents himself as composed. He may be uncertain, but he projects assurance. He may be bleeding within, but outwardly he remains unshaken. The mask does not erase his hardship, but it shields him from the cruelty of others. And in doing so, it gives him the space to overcome it. Appearances shape destiny. A man's life is not only built by his choices, his labor, or even his fortune. It is also shaped by how others perceive him. For perception directs opportunity, and opportunity directs fate. Appearances are not simply decoration, they are the scaffolding upon which the architecture of power is built. If you appear strong, doors open. If you appear weak, doors close. It is not always fair, but fairness is a luxury for philosophers. In the arena of life, appearances are the first judge, and often the final one. Men claim they value substance over image, but their behavior betrays them. They follow the man who looks confident, not the one who hesitates. They trust the man who looks prosperous, not the one who looks poor. They admire the man who carries himself with dignity, not the one who slouches in defeat. Their judgments are swift, shallow, and often irreversible. A single impression can determine whether you are welcomed into a circle of influence or cast aside without a word. This is why appearances matter more than most men dare to admit. They are the silent architects of your future. Consider the young man seeking a patron. If he presents himself poorly, with sloppy dress and timid voice, his talents remain invisible. His virtues will never be discovered because he has failed the first test, the appearance of worth. But if the same man enters with confidence, with polish in his demeanor and order in his presentation, he creates belief in his potential. The patron does not see his true skills yet. He sees only the promise suggested by appearance, and that promise is enough to open the door. From there, the young man may prove himself. Without the appearance, he would never even be given the chance. Think also of leaders throughout history. Many were not the strongest warriors or the wisest strategists, but they mastered the theater of appearances. They looked as though destiny had chosen them, and so men believed it. Soldiers followed them into war. Citizens entrusted them with power. Allies supported them with resources. Their appearance of command created belief, and belief created reality. Destiny, in the end, bent itself to their illusion. But when a man appears weak, the opposite occurs. Even if he has talents hidden within, they remain unseen, because men dismiss him before he can reveal them. They assume failure clings to him, and so failure becomes his companion. This is the cruel cycle of perception. What men believe about you often becomes the truth. Because their belief shapes how they treat you, and their treatment shapes your future. Understand also that appearances do not exist only in the eyes of others. They shape your own behavior. When you present yourself as strong, you begin to act strong. When you dress with dignity, you carry yourself with greater dignity. When you project control, you begin to feel control. The mask you wear does not only deceive others, it transforms you as well. Appearances are not merely reflections of destiny, they are instruments to carve it. A man who accepts this truth becomes the master of his fate. He does not leave his future to the randomness of fortune or the hidden fairness of others. He crafts his own image with intention, knowing that the image precedes him, speaks for him, and often decides for him. He invests in his appearance not out of vanity, but out of strategy, for he knows it will determine how others position him in the game of power. It is for this reason that poverty, if displayed openly, destroys a man's path. The appearance of poverty tells the world that he is powerless, that he cannot influence outcomes, that he does not belong among those who rise. And once the world accepts this appearance, they will not allow him to escape it. Opportunities will be denied, alliances withheld, doors shut firmly in his face. But if he conceals his poverty behind an appearance of strength, of order, of stability, the world treats him differently. They believe he is a man who deserves advancement, and through that belief, advancement comes. Thus appearances, once crafted, shape not only how others see you, but how the world receives you. And in a world where men are quick to judge and slow to forgive, your destiny will always bend toward the mask you wear most consistently. Now you see the truth: the world does not honor what you are, but what you appear to be. Poverty, when revealed, becomes an invitation for scorn and exploitation. Wealth, even when feigned, becomes a magnet for respect and opportunity. Perception is the armor of power, illusion is the currency of respect, and the mask is the shield that guards your dignity. Remember always that appearances shape destiny. If you appear strong, men will treat you as strong, and soon strength will become your reality. If you appear weak, men will dismiss you as weak, and weakness will chain you forever. Guard therefore the image you project. Invest in your mask as carefully as a prince invests in his army. Present yourself with the composure of one who belongs among the powerful, even when your circumstances suggest otherwise. For the world will not open its gates to a beggar, but it will bow to the man who carries himself as a ruler.